Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Thought for Shabbat. The thought for Shabbat and the thought on my mind for these last 2 weeks has been complete and utter sadness, shock, anger, and dismay. I speak to you today to give us all an admonition, I guess, a warning, that as the ground invasion begins of Gaza to root out evil, we as Jewish people must remain strong. The world, as has already happened, is turning against Israel as if Israel doesn't have a right to defend itself. The pain happening in Gaza right now is at the hands of Hamas, not the hands of the innocent Palestinian people or of the Israeli army. My heart is so heavy with the sadness of what has happened to the Palestinian people by Hamas. By Hamas. Imagine if they used their millions or billions of dollars that they spend on weapons to care for their people, to lift them out of poverty, to give them the care they so rightly deserve. So I want to just be on record to unequivocally say I mourn the death of every Palestinian whose death was brought about by the attack of Hamas on Israel. Israel has a responsibility, a moral responsibility to respond. When the UN calls for a ceasefire, tells Israel to be more proportional, first I'd like them to ask Hamas not to put their rocket launchers on top of hospitals or on top of schools. Or when the Israeli government encourages people to find safe passage, that Egypt would open its doors and or Hamas would let people pass through the roadblocks so they could get to safety instead of continually using them as human shields. I'm baffled by the fact that the world doesn't understand that this pain and suffering of this incident is all the responsibility of Hamas. Yes, there are policy and political issues to be solved in Israel. But I tell you this, there is never, ever a group in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv or anywhere in Israel that dances at the death of innocent people. Hamas dances at the death of Jews. We have to root out the evil. It's a moral obligation. In each and every life, that is what they say, collateral damage, which is a horrific thing to say about life, hurts the heart to be sure. But what other choice does Israel, the Jewish state, have than to defend itself and to make it safe once again for not only Jews, but my guess is for Palestinians? So my friends, as Jewish people, we have to stay the course. We have to demand that the Israeli government and the Israeli army do everything possible to protect human life, and at the same time, to do what it must to root out evil without equivocation, without pause, until that evil is rooted out. Were it that we had Israel during World War II, who knows how many millions of lives would have been saved? But I'll tell you this, I'm glad we have Israel now. And while my heart is destroyed at the loss of 1,300 Jewish lives, slaughtered only because they're Jewish, I'm glad we have a Jewish state that will fight back and that will not tolerate evil coming to us in any greater force than it already has. I sure hope the world can see it for what it is and not be duplicitous in making some moral equivalency between Hamas and the IDF. It does not exist. Don't allow it to exist, and don't tolerate such comments. We have a long road ahead of us, my friends. Let's stick together. Let's pray for peace. But for there to be room for peace, evil cannot exist. And so first we must get rid of the evil. And in so doing, bring a sense of healing eventually. It's a long way off. Together, let's hold one another up. Please join us tonight at 7 o'clock for Shabbat services as we hold one another, sing the songs of our faith, songs of peace, songs of love, songs of blessing. We don't have songs of hate. We don't have songs of destruction. We don't have songs that wish for the destruction of other people. We only pray for the goodness of all people. And we will pray once again in that spirit. Shabbat Shalom.